Why is it that just a few tiny strands of hair left on a pillow can completely ruin someone's entire day? Well, welcome to this explainer. Humans naturally shed up to 100 hairs every single day. That is just biology. But for millions of us, seeing just a couple of those out of place triggers this quiet, incredibly intense struggle. Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of hair fall. We're going to look at exactly why losing your hair affects your mind so much more than it actually affects your scalp. Seriously, why does a little hair in the bathroom drain hit us so hard? If you've ever found yourself constantly checking your hairline in the mirror, zooming in on old photos to compare them with new ones, or furiously Googling hair loss remedies at 2 a.m., well, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Finding fallen hair is deeply, deeply unsettling. It's not just a cosmetic issue. It turns into this massive psychological battle about our identity, our confidence, our fears about aging, and this deep fear of being judged. Your distress is completely valid, and today we're going to look at the science of exactly why we react this way. All right, let's get right into section 1, the symbolism of hair. What's really fascinating here is the sheer weight of what hair actually represents. Biologically speaking, hair is literally just dead tissue. That's it. But psychologically, oh wow, it carries enormous emotional significance. Across basically every culture in human history, we've deeply linked hair to youth, vitality, attractiveness, health, even things like masculinity, femininity, and status. Because our brains have hardwired hair to these life-affirming traits, losing it doesn't just feel like a physical change. It literally feels like you're losing a core piece of your actual identity.
Which brings us to section 2, the hair fall anxiety cycle.
Let's walk through this loop together because it is a vicious one. It usually starts innocently enough, right? You notice some hair shedding, but then you get a little concerned, so you start checking the mirror repeatedly. This constant monitoring makes you feel incredibly anxious. Now, here is the cruel biological irony of the whole thing, that rising anxiety triggers your stress hormones, and that physiological stress can actually increase hair shedding. So what happens? Your anxiety intensifies even more. It's a self-reinforcing stress loop. And honestly, this psychological suffering often becomes way more damaging than the actual hair loss itself. So what's happening internally? Let's look at section 3, neuroscience and cognitive distortions. Meet your amygdala. Think of this as your brain's primary threat detector, your internal fire alarm, basically. The brain treats visible changes in our appearance very differently from other health issues, simply because how we look heavily influences our social interactions. So when your brain interprets hair loss as a threat to your identity or social acceptance, your amygdala sounds the alarm. Boom. It activates your anxiety circuits. This triggers a massive spike in cortisol, the stress hormone. Your attention narrows and you become hyper-vigilant, just constantly scanning for danger. It's not you overreacting, it is a scientifically valid neurological response. And because our brain is stuck in this hyper-vigilant threat mode, we fall into these thinking traps, or what psychologists call cognitive distortions. The first one is catastrophizing. This is when your brain just jumps to the absolute worst possible outcome from a minor event. So, I lost 50 hairs today, skips right past logic and suddenly becomes, oh my gosh, I am definitely going entirely bald. Then we've got selective attention. When your brain is hyper-focused on a threat, it's like you put on blinders. You only notice the evidence that supports your fears. Every single fallen hair on your jacket or in the shower becomes absolute, undeniable proof of a massive problem. Meanwhile, your brain completely ignores the thousands of perfectly healthy hairs and the density you still have. And finally, future projection. This is such a common psychological trap. It's where we take a minor physical change happening right now, maybe a little thinning at the temples, and project it into a guaranteed, totally irreversible future of complete baldness. The distress you're feeling right now isn't even about what's actually happening today. It is about a hypothetical, completely invented future your brain cooked up. Moving right along to section 4, modern standards and warning signs. Look, we absolutely cannot talk about appearance anxiety without talking about modern media. Every time we open our phones, we are bombarded with edited photographs, cosmetic enhancements, and literal digital filters. This creates totally distorted expectations. Constant exposure to these idealized and, let's be honest, often totally fake images forces us to compare our everyday reality against impossible digital perfection. And that dramatically worsens our dissatisfaction and anxiety about our own completely natural aging or shedding. So, how do you actually know when this anxiety has taken over the driver's seat? Well, here are some critical warning signs.
If you are counting hairs daily, repeatedly checking the mirror from every angle, taking constant scout photos, avoiding social events, constantly asking your friends for reassurance, or just spending hours going down internet research rabbit holes late at night, those are massive red flags. They indicate that your psychological suffering has become entirely disproportionate to your actual physical hair loss.
Let's fix this. Section 5, breaking the anxiety loop.
A really great core technique from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is identifying those irrational beliefs and actively replacing them. Your brain might generate this automatic thought: if I lose my hair, nobody will respect me. But wait, let's challenge that. Ask yourself, do I only respect other people because of their hair? Of course not. That leads us to a much more balanced thought. Okay, hair affects appearance, sure, but it absolutely does not define my value or my competence. You have to actively practice this kind of reframing.
Another super powerful tool is mindfulness. This isn't about clearing your mind, it's just the practice of observing your thoughts without immediately believing them as absolute facts. So when the thought, "I'm losing my hair," pops up, instead of fighting the anxiety or spiraling, you just acknowledge it. You say, okay, there's that worry again. And then you deliberately redirect your attention to something meaningful. This kind of acceptance helps you stop fighting the reality of the moment, which drastically cuts down on your unnecessary suffering.
Alongside those mental tools, we need some practical, everyday strategies. First up, stop the daily monitoring. If you must check, compare photos monthly, not daily. Put the phone down. Focus on the controllable factors that actually help both your mental and hair health. Optimize your sleep, eat well, and manage your stress levels. Limit those late-night doom-scrolling internet searches. And please, consult qualified medical professionals instead of social media. Control what you can and practice accepting what you can't.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 6, redefining your self-worth.
Think for a second about the fragility of your self-esteem if your appearance is your main source of confidence. Appearance-based confidence is highly vulnerable, right? Because our bodies inevitably change. But look at the alternative, identity-based confidence. Now that is unshakable stability. That's built on your values, your skills, your relationships, your character, your achievements. When your self-worth is rooted in multiple, deeply meaningful domains like that, you can weather physical changes so much better.
And here is a real-world reality check for you. Just look around. So many highly successful, admired, completely beloved individuals experience hair thinning or baldness. Yet their achievements, their intelligence, their leadership abilities, and the love they receive, completely unaffected. In the real world, hair density simply does not determine personal success, your competence, or your value as a human being. Hair is a part of you, for sure, but it is definitely not the whole of you.
So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Instead of constantly asking, how do I stop losing my hair? What if you shifted your focus to a much deeper question? How do I become the kind of person whose confidence does not depend entirely on hair? Your value is measured in your character, your resilience, and what you contribute to the world. The goal isn't just a healthier scalp, it's a much healthier relationship with yourself. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this helps you build an identity that is truly unshakable.